Hi, Katrina Mitchell, CEO and Chief Matchmaker of Speak, and I'm here with Evan Hackel, CEO and founder of Engage Consulting. So, change. Let's talk a little bit about change. I mean, there really isn't an organization that isn't going through change constantly, although sometimes people have bigger changes than others, that I want to say. And I'm a big believer in that change is, it's inevitable. You're either changing or you're dying. So, I know that you have a really, really poignant keynote about change, and I'd like you to just talk a little bit about that.
Well, Katrina, first off, totally agree with you. The world's changing, you can't stop it, so you can choose to lead and make your own future, or you can choose to follow and someone else can make your future for you.
Yeah.
When you talk about change, I think one of the things you have to recognize is people are pretty comfortable where they are, and they like safety and they like certainty. So part of what you need to really do is get people to understand that they really aren't safe and there really isn't certainty. And this is one of the fundamental things you have to do if you're going to get someone to accept change. So what I try to do in this presentation is I try to give them examples in history of companies that were incredibly successful, and that those incredibly successful companies ultimately failed because of the fact that they weren't able to adapt and have change. In fact, I would argue that one of the biggest detriments to a business is, frankly, success. Because when you have success, you tend to rest on your laurels because you never want to lose success. But people need to think and act long term. They need to see that. So what I try to accomplish is I try to explain to them that they're at risk now, they may not know it, and that their comfort now is what they should be most afraid of, and that the really great companies are always thinking ahead, always thinking about where they're going, always leading and defining their future. And when you can do this, coupled obviously with understanding the change that you desire to have happen, you can really get people to get great buy-in and great support for major changes within a system.
Well, and I think within a system, but also I think this is such an important concept for franchisees to embrace on their unit level, right? Like, the things that are occurring in their day-to-day and not be so resistant to change. I think it applies across the board.
Well, you make an excellent point. Because a lot of times franchisees get very comfortable, and then even the littlest of things seem like big changes to them. And what are they doing to plan and think about their business going down the road?
Right.
And a big part of this conversation about change is that if change is going to happen, if you're going to be successful, what are the elements? And one of the elements is a coordinated effort. Because if half the system changes and the other half of the system doesn't change, what do you have? You've got a mess. And people need to get their responsibility, and that everyone needs to come together and have agreement, and the change has to be made not just at the franchisor level, but at the franchisee level too.
Great, great. So fabulous, fabulous keynote, and I know really applicable to any franchise system really, and thank you. Thanks for sharing that with us. Evan Hackel, CEO and founder of Engage Consulting, and Katrina Mitchell, CEO, Chief Matchmaker of Speak.